Okay, just imagine for a second that your entire life, from the moment you were born, was secretly a TV show. Your first steps, your first kiss, everything broadcast live to billions of people. Well, for one man, Truman Burbank, that wasn't some crazy thought experiment. It was his actual life. So today, we're going to dive into his incredible story of figuring out the massive lie he was living.
It's a really wild question, isn't it? But it's at the heart of everything we're talking about today. What if your whole reality was completely fake? And what if you, and only you, were the star of the biggest show on Earth and had absolutely no idea?
So our story kicks off in this town called Sea Haven. And let me tell you, this place is perfect. Like, suspiciously perfect. You've got the white picket fences, super friendly neighbors, never a bad weather day. And this is where Truman Burbank lives what he thinks is a totally normal, happy life. But of course, Sea Haven is hiding a secret of epic proportions.
I mean, the scale of this deception is just mind-blowing. Truman's loving wife, she's a paid actress. His best friend since childhood, also an actor. The cozy little hometown he lives in? Nope. It's actually the world's largest TV studio, all contained inside this massive dome with a painted sky. And the whole thing is run by this one guy, the show's creator, Christoph.
But you know, even the most perfect world has to have a few glitches. And Truman's first real clue that something is way off, well, it literally falls out of the sky. A massive studio light, one of the stars, just crashes onto the street right in front of him. The radio immediately covers it up, blaming a faulty airplane part, but it's too late. That first little crack in his perfect reality has appeared.
And that falling light wasn't just some one-off thing. Oh no, it was a trigger. All of a sudden, these little pieces of his past, these moments that never quite made sense, they all start bubbling up to the surface. It's like ghosts from his memory are showing up to reveal the truth.
You see, the show's producers have been manipulating him his entire life. To make sure he'd never try to leave his island town, they staged his father's death in a boating accident to give him this crippling fear of water. So cruel, right? But there are two things they couldn't erase: the memory of a woman in college who tried to tell him the truth, and then the impossible, seeing his dead father, now a homeless man, before actors rush in and drag him away.
And this is the memory that really, really haunts him. On a beach, a woman he knew as Lauren desperately tried to tell him everything before she was torn away from him. She confessed that her real name was Sylvia, and that his whole world was just a giant set. Her words just stuck with him for years, becoming this obsession, his only real clue that there was something else out there.
So, fueled by all this suspicion, Truman starts to poke at the edges of his world. He starts testing the boundaries. And this is where things get super creepy. Because the world, it starts pushing back. Hard. The little glitches in the system start to happen more and more. His car radio suddenly picks up the production crew's frequency, and he hears them talking about him, tracking his every move. Then he starts noticing people and cars just circling his neighborhood in these perfect repetitive loops. An elevator in an office building opens up, not to another office, but to a backstage area with actors on a break. And the real kicker? He looks at his own wedding photo and finally sees it. His wife, Meryl, has her fingers crossed. Every single time he tries to leave, some totally absurd roadblock just appears out of nowhere. He wants to fly to Fiji? Sorry, all flights are booked solid for a month. He tries to take a bus? Oh, what a coincidence. The engine breaks down. He tries to drive? An insane traffic jam materializes instantly. He actually manages to get past that, only to be stopped by a fake nuclear leak, where a cop literally calls him by his first name. It's insane. The walls are closing in.
And then comes the final nail in the coffin. He confronts his wife, Meryl. He backs her into a corner, and her whole act just falls apart. In a total panic, she looks right past him at a hidden camera and screams, "Do something." And in that instant, he knows. She's not his wife. She's his jailer.
All right, so now he knows the truth. He's a prisoner. There's only one thing left to do. He is going to escape, and this time, he's going all in.
All hell breaks loose in the control room. Truman's not in his bed. He's gone. He escaped through a hole in his basement. For the very first time in 30 years, Christoph has to do the unthinkable. He cuts the broadcast and tells every single actor on the island to drop their character and search for their star. The hunt is on. So where did he go? The one place they never thought he'd go. The place they programmed him to be terrified of, the sea.
Christoph looks at the monitors and realizes his absolute worst nightmare has come true. Truman is on a tiny sailboat, facing the very fear they manufactured just to keep him trapped.
In a final, godlike move to keep control, Christoph does something truly awful. He creates a massive, violent storm, cranking the weather systems up to maximum. He is literally willing to kill Truman on live TV, just so he doesn't lose control of his show. But Truman, through it all, just screams at the sky. He will not give up.
He somehow survives the storm. The sky clears. Truman sails on, totally exhausted, but not broken. And then, thud. The front of his boat literally smashes into a wall painted to look like the sky. He's done it. He has reached the end of his world. He's found the edge of his prison cell. He stumbles along the wall and finds a staircase painted to blend in, leading up to an exit door. And right here, at the very edge of everything he's ever known, Truman has to make the ultimate choice. Does he go back to the perfect, comfortable lie, or step into the scary, unknown truth? And that's when a voice like God, booms from the clouds. It's Christoph, the creator, speaking to Truman for the very first time. He tries to tempt him, telling him to stay where it's safe, where there's nothing to fear. He claims the real world is the real lie. Truman just stands there. He listens. He thinks about it for a second, and then he turns to the camera, a little smile on his face, and delivers his classic catchphrase one last time. But this time, it's a goodbye. He takes a bow, and he walks through that door, into the darkness, into the real world.
And the entire world just erupts. People who have watched him his entire life are jumping up and down, cheering. And Sylvia, the woman who started it all, she runs out of her apartment to finally meet the man she helped set free. The broadcast cuts to static. The show is over. Truman is free.
Truman's story leaves us with this huge, haunting question, doesn't it? He chose the terrifying, uncertain, messy reality of freedom over the safety of a perfect cage. And it really makes you wonder, if we were faced with our own comfortable illusions, our own little cages, would we be brave enough to look for that exit door?